going to talk about the FOMC meeting that just happened, but I think that something that we have to talk about a little bit more is the impending doom on the banking industry. So I'm pretty sure that you probably have already checked out my previous video on First Republic's implosion, okay, because they basically went bankrupt. The whole thing just got acquired by JP Morgan. Now we have to talk about how the regional banks are going to stand up to the next test. Okay, so a lot of people are saying that this is most likely going to be bigger than 2008. Chances are it already is, because right now we are actually already past the dollar amount of money that's being affected based on asset value for all the banks that's been affected in this current run as compared to 2008. So a lot of people are saying that, could this actually mean that it would be more banks to actually come out to either declare bankruptcy, to declare that they need more funds, they need to get any sort of a bailout from the Federal Reserve, yada yada yada. Okay, chances are this banking industry, this whole banking industry is going to go down even more. So yesterday, if you were to look at regional banks, chances are you probably saw it all. Regional banks were getting destroyed. PACW leading the charge, of course, actually down over 50% on their stock price. PACW once $170 stock, I believe. Right now, sitting at about $3 or so, which is basically where First Republic was sitting at as well. Of course, I do know that stock price don't actually equal to the market cap of a company, but just for better sake of comparison, it's easier for you to actually see how big of a decline the whole company has actually went under. So, a lot of people are saying that PACW is most likely going to be the next company, the next bank to actually go under, to get acquired by JP Morgan or one of the big other banks, either BAC, other Wells Fargo, and things like that. So we'll talk about what actually happened with PACW first. But of course, I will be talking about the FOMC meeting as well, but I'm going to leave it to after this PACW situation. Okay, for people who don't understand what actually happened with PACW, believe it or not, it's actually a little bit different from First Republic and also a little bit different from Silicon Valley Bank. Okay, all these different bank implosion might actually sound like they're all one of the same, but actually they're all different situation as it is. Silicon Valley Bank, basically, because they were giving out a lot of loans to startup in a recession, and at the same time they had a lot of copious amount of money invested into low interest rate bonds in a high interest rate rising economy. That was one of the reasons why they had a huge downfall. For First Republic, on the other hand, they were just not showing their fair asset value, and because of that, a lot of people kind of lost faith in them. For PACW, on the other hand, I'll bet a little bit the same, okay? On the other hand, for PACW, what actually happened was that because PACW had to come out to kind of ask people, hey, do you want to invest in our company? Hey, do you want to deposit more money into our company? They kind of went on marketing mode to investors and also depositors. When you actually do that, it simply means that a lot of people are thinking, oh, could it be that PACW, you do not have any money? That's why you are asking me as an investor to invest in your company. Could it be that PACW, you do not have money, hence you're asking me as a depositor to deposit more money into the bank so that you can actually use the money to go and make more risky trades, whatever it is a bank can do, what may be. So, because of that, PACW basically just created this kind of self-impending doom for themselves, which kind of just escalated the whole situation. PACW just lost 50% of their stock share in one day. Yesterday, they were actually down 50.62%. In the aftermarket, they were actually up about 13%. But let's be honest here, chances are they might easily go down to the $2 or even $1 range again. And of course, this would also kind of pry out a new conversation that we might all have, which is PACW going to get acquired by any of the big banks? Because that would most likely be the case as well. Just like what we actually saw with First Republic, when a bank just kind of get shunned by all your public the services and such, the bank's basically useless. Okay? So now that we got this PACW thing out of the way, let's talk about the FOMC meeting, because this is kind of mildly related as well. Jerome Powell actually came up during the FOMC meeting and during the Q&A itself. Well, not really Q&A, but during the statement that he was giving, he kind of was like actually talking a little bit of a brief description of what the banking crisis was going on about, and he was saying that the banking industry is pretty strong. He don't see any issues with the banking crisis at the moment. He do intend to actually buff up the defenses for all this kind of things, such as like making sure that loans are not going to be as easy to get. They're going to be tightening some of the regulations for banks to follow and things like that. But in the FOMC statement itself, he actually did say that he don't actually see this being a continuous problem. And then we saw PACW, which kind of just set everything back in motion, which is everyone just thinking, maybe the Fed is wrong on this one. Maybe PACW might actually go bankrupt. So, now that you kind of understand how this actually is, maybe next week, I don't know, you might actually see that the Federal Reserve come out to have a emergency meeting and asking the top 5 banks to start giving in their offers to acquire PACW Bank. I don't know. Alright, so let's talk about FOMC meeting, alright? So the thing is that I'm pretty sure that we all already know about it. 25 basis point increment as expected. A lot of us were actually expecting a 25 basis point increment. A lot of people are saying that it's not about this meeting, but the next meeting. Okay, the expectation was 25 basis point increment across the board. Everyone thought about it. The bulls, the bear, the hawks, the doves. Who cares? Everyone knows for a fact that it is going to be a 25 basis point increment. However, what people are starting to say is that, it's going to be a 25 basis point increment and a pause. It's going to be a 25 basis point increment and the next 25 basis point increment. It's going to be a 25 basis point increment and a rates cut. So there's a lot of people who are having a lot of so-called like different decisions, predictions of what the Federal Reserve might actually be doing. Personally, I do think that a rates pause would most likely be happening. Of course, this is also going to be based on 2 different factors. The first one is the employment data that's going to be coming out today. Okay, of course, to preface this, today is a Friday. I'm recording this at about 3 p.m. So the employment data is not out just yet. We're going to be getting the employment data later on. So that's going to be one. We're going to be looking at employment data. And the next one is going to be next week on Tuesday. We're going to be seeing CPI. Okay, CPI is going to be an important one because if the CPI actually comes out to be horrible, then of course that's going to be a whole different thing. Because if CPI comes out to be horrible, let's be honest here, we are definitely going to see a lot of pressure on the Federal Reserve. They're definitely going to have to increase their interest rates all over again. There's going to be a whole different other thing for us to actually fight about. Okay, so in this FOMC meeting itself, Jerome Powell was, kind of going as it is, as what we all expected. He don't want to give us too much hope. He want to ensure that we are all kind of all right with it. He kind of just gave us a little bit and just said like, we just need to wait for more information. We just need to ensure that the information that actually comes to us, and then we can actually make that right move. I believe that Jerome Powell do not want to go full hawkish to the point where he's just basically saying, yeah, you know what, we're going 50 basis point increment this meeting, 25 basis point increment next meeting. And when he can't do something like that, it means that a rates cut would definitely have to come by in the very, very near future. Okay, that's what Jerome Powell do not want to do. Fair enough. So this FOMC meeting also, we do not have the SCP because, we only get the SCP every single quarter. And I do think that if we actually do have an SCP this meeting, I have a very, very odd feeling that the SCP would actually be guided downwards, which means that effectively the market should actually be cheering for it. But of course, after the FOMC meeting actually happened, it wasn't really the case because the stocks market basically went down. Okay, I remember the SPY was down about like 1%. The QQQ were down about like 1.3% or something along those lines. The market were not having it. Okay, the shorts are still winning despite having a fairly well-placed FOMC. Okay, so I do think that this FOMC did not really give us that much data point as compared to all the other FOMC that we actually had in the prior, in the previous months. But I do think that this FOMC is going to kind of just give us a little bit of a hint of what we're going to be expecting for the next one. So I think the next FOMC is definitely going to be the most important one. Also, most likely because that would be marking when we actually see ourselves being in an extended period of time being in a recession. But anyway, I do think that this FOMC did not really, like I said, and just to summarize it up, I don't think it really gave us a lot of huge hints. PACW, on the other hand, most likely going to go bankrupt. A lot of regional banks are going to be, viewed through a magnifying glass by the Feds. I don't know. Maybe you're going to see a lot more banks implode in the next couple of months. So let's just hope all is good. Alright, so that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.